Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the year-end wrap-up, episode number 66 of CBD Talk Podcast. And I have our favorite person, Harley Damico, with us today. Finally got him back. So where are you? Where are you right now, Harley?
So right now I'm actually in a little river town in the southeast corner of Iowa called Keokuk. It's right where Illinois and Missouri and Iowa all touch at the Mississippi River. I'm out here for the holidays, seeing some family.
Oh, that's nice. And anything happening hemp-wise in Iowa these days?
Oh, they're getting things started. They did kind of get something passed with the medical cannabis. But from my understanding, none of the products can be over 3%, and there's only a couple licenses, just like it started in most places. But they're coming around, especially with the new Farm Bill Act getting signed and everything. There's a lot of interest from the farmers because a lot of them in the last couple of years have taken some big hits because the main crop out here is corn. And as most of the farmers know, we're not really exporting as much corn in the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really taken a hit, and especially when most of the families and communities around here, that's what they really solely rely on. So I've been out here talking about the hemp, and it's catching a lot of interest. They're interested in everything from how it can regenerate their soil and even be used to replace some of the revenue streams that they're losing out on now. So we're getting there. Just like out in Pennsylvania, I think it's going to take a couple of bold farmers to, give up, maybe 10, 15 acres and let some people come in and grow some hemp and show them how it can be done. It's going to take a little while, of course, because there's only a few pieces of equipment for harvesting. That's a real issue right now, and it's one that we ran into this year. But innovation takes time. We're getting all these different minds together, and every time I know that I go out and get to meet with the farmers out there, we're making progress. We're finding new ways of harvesting, new ways of planting the plants, and just really teaching everybody, how to actually be able to harvest the hemp, on a large scale.
Yeah, and then on top of that, with the tariff wars and stuff, soybean farmers are being just decimated, just absolutely destroyed. So this is a perfect time for the Farm Bill to pass for farmers to be able to get into growing hemp and make up some of that money that they're losing. So that's a real good thing. Well, one of the things Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to talk a little bit about kind of do a quick recap of 2018 for the podcast. So this last 12 months, we've had over 57,000 plays. The 2 top tracks were the one with David Dawson and Joshua Latterman he was from National, Fudgesicles. I can never remember things that have letters in them. National Association of Cannabis Businesses, NACB, that's what it was.
Sometimes we just got to create our own.
Yeah, exactly. The top countries were the US, the UK, and Canada. And our top listener was actually from Tokyo. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so our top listener is from Japan, and his handle on SoundCloud was as Tanuki Mugenbeer. And Mugenbeer is actually like a little toy that when you pop it open, when you activate it, it sounds like a beer opening. So that's his moniker. But all right. And our top cities were all in America: San Francisco, LA, and Chicago. Those were our top cities. So that's just a little bit of, what was happening on the podcast this year. We had some wonderful guests, and we're just really glad to be able to share the information with everyone. So
it's really cool seeing Chicago being one of the top cities, because I know that there's not too much education out in Illinois.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're helping get some out there. All right, so what is your favorite CBD related memory for 2018? Let's not say the Farm Bill, because that's everybody's favorite. It's the Farm Bill getting spiked.
I think the coolest thing seeing this year when it comes to the hemp is just like the innovations with the farming. For the last couple of years, people have been, pretty much hand harvesting and having to hire large groups of people to go out and, chop down plants and do it all by hand. It's getting to the point now where places, especially like the Indo Expo last year, or the Hemp Expo, there was companies that I've never seen around the industry. There was companies like John Deere and International, and some of these, top farm equipment producing companies actually showing up at these events, questioning people, bringing people in, doing Q&As and showing off some of the equipment that they're creating, which I think has really helped a lot of people, because now that they're seeing what's possible, everybody can put their own little spin onto things. And a lot of the people that are farming the hemp, they're not a lot of really large farmers with a lot of farm equipment or money to just create equipment. So, seeing them working with the public and actually being involved with us, that's something that I've really been excited for, and I think is really going to set us up good for next year.
That's great. And I don't think a lot of people actually realize that harvesting hemp is a lot different from harvesting other crops. And I know that you were out there harvesting this last year yourself, and I remember seeing the pictures on Facebook, and it didn't look easy.
No, it's basic work, of course. I like to tell people, when we're growing, it's a lot like teaching somebody to tie their shoes. It's a very easy concept. It's something that's not hard to do over and over and over again, but it does take a little bit of time to master. So, this year we went out there. We had just under 10 acres. We did 4 different varieties. We got a few different research licenses that we're doing, but when we were growing them this year, that was one thing that we weren't all really prepared for. It really helped me grow this year, because going out there and getting to talk to the farmers personally towards the end of the season, just because we were so busy this year, I didn't get to go out there too much. Like I was talking about the innovation, we all have ideas. A lot of us out in Colorado have been growing for quite a while now and have our ways of doing things. But there's these farmers that have been farming, families that have been farming for generations. So there's a lot of knowledge that they have that a lot of us in the city don't get to see. So working with them and talking about what we can do next year to improve, that's been really helpful, because, we were out there with 3 people and we had our little machetes and we had to walk around this big 10-acre plot and chopping down the green plants. That's another thing we learned this year too. Growing outdoor, we need to cut them down a little bit sooner. So we waited a little bit too long, so we didn't get our full yield. But we really wanted to see what the plants did. Since we're growing the different varieties, we have some varieties for fiber, for making hempcrete or hemp plastics or feeding livestock, and then we also have our high CBD strains that that we're growing to pull down for our oils and our tinctures and our vape products and those type of things. So getting to see all the different types of hemp that are actually growing and the different uses for it has been very useful. And we kind of needed to see that to dial in not just us as the growers on what our needs are, but also what the needs of the farmers are going to be next year when we're growing again. So they kind of know what to expect with how far to space the plants apart when we're row cropping, or what type of equipment we're going to need to actually harvest a lot larger area. You know, we're looking at going from 7 to 8 acres up to about 30 acres this year. So there's a lot of things that have to change, but there's a lot of things that have to stay the same too. So the more we're out there, each year that passes, I think we're going to see leaps and bounds when it comes to growing this hemp.
Yeah, definitely. When, you know, just the experiential learning that goes along with it, I'm sure that there's going to be adjustments year by year until you get it down to a fine science. So what surprised you most about growing this year? Like, what do you think you thought you knew that you found out that there's that you didn't know as much as you thought you knew? Like one thing.
Biggest thing probably has to be how we have to really monitor the plants. So learning that you need to be on site the whole season. You need to have a lot more hands on deck when you're out there, because growing outdoors is a lot different with all of the other vegetation that grows. So all the weeds, all the ragweeds and things like that can overgrow the hemp. Even though they overgrow the hemp and the hemp will still grow, for one, of course, it's not as healthy of a plant because it's not getting as many of the nutrients because it's having to compete. But the harvesting process would be 1,000 times easier, using either a cover crop, or another thing we've talked about is, you know, putting up some greenhouses and, you know, making about 5,000-10,000 clones and letting them get to about 1 foot high before we plant them outdoors, so they kind of help shade off, you know, put shade on the ground and stop other things from growing and competing with the hemp. But I think that's been the biggest hang up this year on the East Coast in general. Just because when I was out there, I know that there was at least 2 people that caused some problems with their combines. They almost destroyed one combine just because the fiber is so thick that, like we were saying, it's a lot different than harvesting corn or, you know, other crops, just because of how tough it is. So we have to figure out ways, you know, that we can get around that, you know, where we're not destroying $100,000 pieces of machinery in our R&D phase.
And that you're not also doing everything by hand.
Yeah, it becomes overwhelming. I was so excited, and my heart was pumping when I was flying out there and ready to just go. And then, you know, about 72 hours in, your body starts to feel it, and it's a little bit different experience than what I was expecting. But it was really good. Like I said, it was a great learning experience. This was our first year doing it. But we proved that we can grow these plants and we can harvest these plants and we can actually produce oil out of them. So, you know, that was our main goal this year, was proving the proof of concept, since we have these research licenses through the state of Pennsylvania that have really helped us out a lot. You know, the state's worked with us. They have some really good organizations out there that are working with us, and we're trying to find the best seeds, the best way of processing. It's just so many moving parts. It's hard to really keep track of all of them. That's why we've kind of expanded. I've been focusing more on the lab work and finding the proper genetics for us. You know, then we have our team members, you know, that are focused on tracking the Hemp Farm Bill Act, and there's ones tracking the FDA, what FDA is saying about everything, you know. So it's just a lot of moving pieces, and anybody that's involved, you know, it's going to take more than one person to really understand what's going on all at once.
Yeah, it takes a community for sure, to try to disseminate all this information. So talk to me a little about genetics. So what type of things are you looking for in genetics?
So genetics, since we're doing a few different studies, you know, we're looking for a couple different things. What most people are looking for right now, of course, is everybody wants a little bit shorter, bushier style plants that produce very high CBD. Those plants are used in making, your oils or your lotions. People tend to grow those to extract the essential oils, as a lot of people would call them, from the hemp plant. So the one thing we're searching for is we're looking for certified seed. We want to work with people, here in the United States, even though it's really hard right now. Certified seed is mainly from a lot of these larger European companies that we've been working with for a long time. But now that the federal government kind of has their hands in the pie, so to say, there's a lot of progress being made that way. Another thing that we've really been looking into and searching for is the highest fiber strain. So ones that we look for plants that grow, one main stalk. We don't use them for all the leaves or the seeds or anything of that per se. We want to find the tallest, the longest hemp plants possible, and to make things like, we can extract the fiber. So you can make your clothing or your hemp plastics or hempcrete now, which a lot of communities are starting to work with and set up little hemp homes. They're just low cost, very, pretty efficient little houses that are lasting for quite a while. So they're helping a lot of communities, and we're just trying to find out with the strains that we get our hands on a variety, so then we can be the ones to grow them in a mass abundance and, see what's really realistic for, to spread out to the other farms.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And I do read a lot about the plastics, the hemp plastics and the hemp fuel. And of course, we've been hearing about hempcrete here in Colorado for a while. So that is so exciting. So can you actually get more than one thing from one crop? Are you able to get extract oil and use the fiber both from one crop?
Yep. So that's what we're waiting for now. We're just waiting for the flour to all finish drying. So we chopped everything down. We hung it up. We let it dry. And then what we did this year was we just stripped all of the leaves, the flowers, anything like that comes on the plant into a bin. Then you have your stripped plant. So it's just like a naked Christmas tree. And you can use those branches and things like that to, extract the fiber as well. It's just not as efficient.
Right.
So what we're really working on is we really want to start working with these farmers nationwide. We're working with a few of them out there in Pennsylvania. So we can do a little bit of consulting and we can talk to them about, okay, so what's your final mission? And I think that's a question that's really missing in this industry, because a lot of people are just putting up big facilities, big farms, and they don't really necessarily have a certain direction. They know they want to grow hemp, and they know that they want to extract the hemp. So the trial and error hasn't really been there yet. Everybody's just growing random genetics. We want to standardize, get things somewhat standardized. So then when a farmer is interested in growing hemp, we can ask him, well, what are you planning on doing with the hemp? Are you wanting to feed your livestock? Well, we got this variety that's best for you to grow. Do you want to grow for the fiber? Well, this is what would be best for you to grow. So these farmers aren't, just taking a shot in the dark and
blindly,
and not knowing what they're going to do with the final product. Because a lot of these farmers, they have their own distribution channels. They've been businessmen for usually quite a long time. So if we can tailor their final product to what they're more used to already, I think it'll be a lot easier transition for those farmers and a lot more beneficial for them as well. So they don't have to. It's expensive when you plant a 50-acre crop, and you got to get all your nutrients, and you have to turn all your soil, and you have to monitor everything. It gets to be very expensive. So we want to help streamline the process to where the farmers know what they're getting into rather than having to learn on the fly.
No, that's great. That's great. It's going to save them a lot of heartache, I'm sure, along the way. So
yeah, it's a lot different. There's pros and cons to all of it. We have a magnifying glass on us by the state and the federal government because we are so transparent and open with them about everything we're doing.
yeah, well, you have a research license, like you kind of have to be.
Yeah, we got approved for the research licenses. We have we have a national bank account, a bank that works with us. They're a nationally accredited bank, and they're behind us all the way just because they see, that we're one of those companies out there that's, really doing our due diligence and trying to do it the proper way instead of just throw plants in the ground and extract them. But yeah, we got approved for a few different research licenses. So we're doing the main one that I'm really looking forward to seeing results for is feeding the livestock. So we have a farm out in Pennsylvania. The farmers it's a whole community that's willing to work with us, and they have a chicken farm. So what we're doing is we're feeding them mulch of the hemp plant and the hemp seeds right next to chickens that are being fed grain or corn feed. So then once they start to lay their egg, and once they're on that diet for about 6 months, 12 months, then we can start taking the eggs that those chickens lay, and we can do side-by-side nutrition comparison. So we can test and see exactly what's inside those eggs, if it's higher in omegas or higher in protein and, better for humans. Because from what it's looking like right now, we don't have exact numbers down because we haven't done a large crop yet. But the price for the feed is drastically cheaper than a lot of the grain feed and everything else that's out there as well. So if we can provide a super product that provides more nutrition to humans, then that's something that, I'm behind all the way.
Oh, for sure. And I because my day job, because we also have day jobs, I work for the third largest animal health company in the country, and we literally sell billions of dollars worth of stuff. And so for me, finding out about the benefits of hemp feed for production animals that's something that's very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to getting lots of information on that because we don't have any hemp products yet. But I'm pushing.
No, I understand. It needs to be done. It's when we look at our history, things change every 6 months in our society. Everything from technology to education, just to overall knowledge that we have on the world changes. A lot of these farming practices, have been unchanged for 60 plus years. And I think it's just, it's about time that, we start using our accomplishments and our findings to, actually start increasing what we can get from those things. I don't think, I fully understand the phrase, don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Yeah.
But you can always improve. There's always room for improvement. It doesn't mean that we have to change the world overnight or anything like that. But I think over time and doing these small steps like we have been and collecting the data and statistics, then it's going to be a no-brainer for people that we're allowed to actually collect that data and share it to people. That's the big thing. With these research licenses, we can actually put that information out there. We're not making medical claims. We're not doing anything like that. But we can at least show people the directions that we're heading in. So then people can also, start to do their own research and share it with them.
And another thing is you'll be able to put dollars to things. You'll be able to say, look, if you do it this way, here's your cost. If you do it this way, here's your cost. If you sell this is what this is going for. And like you're talking about with the feed, here's the cost of the feed compared to what you're paying now. And here's the benefits of it for your animals. It's just,
and it can all be produced right there on site as they are right now. This year we really wanted to test the hemp side by side with the corn, just because we know that that's what most of the fields in the Midwest where I'm from are. It's just thousands and thousands of acres of corn. So it was so cool getting to go out to Pennsylvania and seeing these rows of hemp planted right next to rows of corn.
Mm-hmm.
This year we didn't, like I said, we just wanted to test the genetics, see where everything stood, get our baseline, and then start, doing our tuning from there.
Mm-hmm.
And the plants grew right next to the corn in the cornfields. We didn't do anything special. We treated them just like if corn was in that spot, just like it was the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And we had taller hemp stalks than we had corn stalks. So it speaks pretty loudly to what it is and how easy it is to convert and actually just throw some hemp plants onto a farm too. It doesn't take a whole lot of. It doesn't really take any special training or any special tools or anything like that. Of course, yeah, everything can be improved on, but it was just the fact of showing people that these plants really are not that different.
Yeah, and I mean, just going in there as brand new farmers and being able to create a crop with a final product that's you can turn around and sell. I mean, that's great. I mean, you're it's not like you come from a generation and after generation of farmers. So right there, it just shows that it's doable, and if you can do it, these farmers sure as hell can do it.
Yeah, and it's cool because you get to see, it's a way for these smaller farming communities that don't have, a lot of retail locations, or they're not in big cities, and they don't have tourism, they don't have new people coming around to spend money in those communities to keep them thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is an industry where, the farmers can help bring their communities back. They can plant this hemp, and it's something that they can sell around the country, and they can bring tax revenue back into their communities, back into their counties, reignite, their local markets more so than in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, have a little hemp fest, every harvest or something like that. There's lots of great things. So with respect to Homegrown Essentials, and for those of you guys who don't know, that is Harley's company that he works with and owns part of, and you started out just doing vapes, pretty much vape products, but you're expanding some. You've got some other products in there.
Yep. So now that the CBD oil is a little bit easier to come by, and testing is, a lot more accurate. It still has a long ways to go, but testing is at least a lot more accurate than it was 12, 24 months ago. We feel safe moving into some other products. We stayed away from a lot of other products just because we were worried about a little bit of THC contamination, or it getting ingested into somebody's body and causing some problems. But now that's really not a problem at all. Now that there's suppliers out there with machinery that's mass produced enough that they can calibrate everything and make consistent products. That's one of the hardest things in this industry to come by, whether it's marijuana, hemp, anything. Consistency, finding somebody that with the proper consistency is very, very, very difficult, especially when testing isn't even consistent. It's really hard to find somebody that can make a consistent product without consistent testing. But we have been working with a pretty big supplier. They've made a lot of headway. They've really been working with us because we're working on setting up our own production facility out in Pennsylvania. But we started to expand. We've really been looking into the lotions. We really like working with other local companies, where we can help promote their products as well. We source some of the material for their products, of course, and then, we put their products on our website. But, the products that are coming out now, it's, as a business, I've always been into the vape side just because I've always been a smoker and a cannabis enthusiast and more into that realm. But seeing what the products have done for people, the demand for them that's out there now, it's just impossible to not go in that direction as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's everything from the tinctures that are helping the kids to the lotions that are helping the grandma and grandpas. Like, it's just pretty cool to just see it all starting to blow up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. It's great to see you branch out. I mean, when you started, I mean, it was very specific because there was a specific need out there that you were filling, and you saw it, you filled it, and I'm just really glad to see that you guys are growing to do other things as well. It's
and now that we're allowed to be more open and share more articles and, you know, actually put some of the information out there, it's creating more questions. So like when people create more questions, you know, it's easier to find those voids that are existing out there.
Yeah, because you're listening to your customers, you're listening to the public, and you're finding out what the needs are, and then you're meeting them. That's something that a lot of people don't actually do. So,
Listening is a very good skill, for sure.
for sure.
Wish more people had it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what are you looking forward to in 2019, hemp-wise, CBD-wise? Well, CBD and
honestly, I think the biggest thing that everybody's waiting for is some type of regulation. You know, it's very frustrating when people like the President of the United States can sign documents, you know, showing that this hemp is not going to be psychoactive or it's not going to cause drug problems, you know, or it's going to be beneficial to the community. You know, if they got to the president's desk, obviously there's been plenty of qualified professionals that have looked over it and it made it that far and got signed.
yeah.
Just to be fought back by the FDA. You know, as soon as the hemp farm bill got signed, I think it happened at like 4:18. There was a press conference at 5:00 from the FDA. You know, FDA and you know, CW and everybody else. You know, they were already ready. They were prepared. And right after they told us, the president tells us that it's becoming legal, FDA comes right back and tries to say that it is illegal. I understand where the FDA is coming from, but they don't regulate all of our products at the same time. So I think they're kind of speaking out of their jurisdiction. But when it comes to products that, you know, they do regulate, then it's just even more of a headache. But I understand where they're coming from. You know, we still got to make things in a safe manner. We still have to put dependable products out there, you know, where it's
and
not going to
don't
be
make
hurting
claims.
anybody.
Don't make
we
claims
can't
that
make
aren't
the
backed
claims
up.
until the research is done and it's proven by the people that can say that it works. Then we have to wait until then. But you know, I still encourage everybody to still talk about it. Just
don't put it
see
on
what
your
other
label.
people think about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, truthfully, not much has changed since the summer. I mean, everyone has already switched over their labels and things like that, and you know, made sure there weren't any claims on their labels. People are still selling it; they're just calling it hemp extract oil now, instead of, and they're not putting CBD on the labels. It's still as good as it was before. It's still doing the same thing for people that it was before. You know, literally millions of people are using CBD products now. But like we had an episode with Kit O'Connell, the last episode we did, so I think 65, for Ministry of Hemp, and he talked a lot about it, and he said that there are things that we can refer to, like products that we can refer to, where the FDA has it easy peasy, you know, and everything in products that you can buy anywhere, but also in forms that you could only get from doctors and you know, that are used like in hospitals, and that was caffeine. You can get caffeine in your coffee. You can get caffeine in they have caffeinated gum now. They have all sorts of things, but there's also products, medical products that have caffeine that you can only get through a doctor. So,
that brings up a very, very, very valid point. Like you said, there's coffee. There's probably a lot of people don't. I don't know off the top of my head. Most people probably don't, but I'm sure that there's numerous ingredients that fall under that category. But yet CBD is the only one that the FDA is trying to regulate in this manner. They're trying to regulate the CBD more than they're focused on fixing their nicotine problems with the vape juices and those types of things.
Exactly. And so they, that's hopefully where like the roundtable and the different hemp organizations are talking with the CBD with the FDA people. That's the direction that they're trying to propose that the FDA goes with hemp products and CBD. So fingers crossed and good thoughts out there that calm minds prevail and rational thought prevails. That's not always a good match when it comes to the government, but we're going to hope for. So
the government's mastered it for sure.
Yeah, that makes things interesting. I think my big wish for 2019 is normalization of banking for hemp products, actually for cannabis products as well. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
One at a time.
Yeah, so normalization of banking for all CBD products. That for me would be huge because
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, because that there's merchant banks out there that are able to do it, but the fees are ridiculous compared to
the fees are insane. Our first year doing business, I've been doing this for about 6 years with a couple other companies as well. Seen them go through the banking issues. Almost everybody having to use illegal processes to collect payment or to distribute payment. It's been a real headache. I know that our first year alone, just in banking fees, we had to pay our normal banking fees anytime we wire money or transfer money or do those type of things. But we were also getting hit with the extra fees on top of everything. And, that took around $20,000 off the top of everything our very first year. When you really look at small businesses, I would say 95% of small businesses that are self-funded, that's not something that's realistic or survivable for any of them.
Exactly. It's a barrier that does not need to be there.
Yep, I fully agree. There's finally a couple of banks that are starting to open the doors. Those banks have been getting audited and asking a lot of questions. But this year we switched to another bank. I'm under an NDA, so I can't really, put out what bank.
No. Yeah,
but
we don't want that.
I do know that there's one national chain bank now, that they're stationed out in California, but they have banks all over the country, hundreds of them. But we currently have a bank account, and there's absolutely no extra fees, no high-risk fees, no hemp industry fees, or anything of that sort. They've shut down 3 other accounts that are hemp companies. It just takes a lot of due diligence, a lot of work. We have to track everything. It's no different than the cannabis industry. Everything's seed to sale. And you just have to be able to prove your due diligence to these bankers, and they're starting to, actually open up their doors and allow people in. They're even starting to have the discussions about, loaning money out to these businesses to help them expand and things of that sort. They're not at that point yet, but that's something that I know that the president of the bank that we spoke with was at least showing interest in and having in 2019. So that would be really big.
Then the Farm Bill is going to go a long way in helping that to happen. Now that we've got that done. But it's going to take the Squares and the PayPals and the Stripes and all those as well to jump on board, because like you said, there are small businesses that actually have wonderful products and are doing a lot of great work. When you look at it, It's the small businesses that have moved the industry forward. There's a handful, a very small handful of large companies that have been big players, because the larger you are, the more you have to lose. But there are
a lot of those companies have played it smart. From my experience, what I've seen is a lot of these small businesses. Most of these people are not business people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are growers. They know the plants. They know how to extract, or they know how to formulate. That's an industry of its own inside of the quote-unquote industry. You still got to have your business people. You still have to have your tax people. You still have to have all your ducks in a row. Otherwise, it's going to make it even more difficult. And when you're already running around with no money your first 2 or 3 years, it's really hard to keep gaining traction, especially when you have these larger companies, with large bank accounts sitting there just watching you.
Yeah.
And once you get a little glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel, they jump on and they start running to that light too.
Yeah.
So then you have to compete, with people with a lot bigger lawyers and a lot more resources. So It gets hard. But being in Colorado has been cool because seeing everybody involved in the hemp industry and everybody that's in the small businesses, they are all helping each other out. And I hope it spreads that way across the country. It's 50-50 chance. It could just be some big corporations with dispensaries and head shops already spread out across the country that jump in and take over. But I think they're going to have a real struggle doing that. As a lot of people do get quote unquote, blacklisted in this industry for doing a lot of those popular shady business tactics. I know it's really frowned upon in our industry, and a lot of people just don't want to continue helping those people out once they see, that they got the wrong things in mind out here.
Yeah, definitely. It's, we got to know that there are going to be some big players that come in, and that's fine, because there's quality and there's quantity. And I think that you're going to find that the quality of the small business products is going to exceed the quality of the large companies in a lot of cases. Well, the large companies that are coming into the business, not the large companies that are already in the business, because they started small and built up. I'm talking about the Marlboros and the Coca Colas and the things like that are coming in, that just want to jump in right in the middle without learning the lessons. They're
Coca Cola put a big scare on a lot of us. I know we actually since we're waiting we were waiting for everything to dry. We had to order some more products from another supplier, and we ended up getting pushed back about 60 days because, like I said, it's a very large supplier, and they weren't sure. They were told that they had an order pending from a Coca Cola family company. And they couldn't really release product because they didn't know if one of these companies was going to step in and buy up all of the suppliers.
Wow.
So that's one thing that, really had us worried. But now I think the industry is to the point where there is enough farms. By the end of next year, there will be enough extraction facilities that I don't think that we really have to worry about somebody coming in and monopolizing by purchasing all the products.
Yeah, and that's a really great thing is it makes it so that we need more suppliers. The industry is creating industry. It's the number of jobs that the industry has created in 2018 alone. It's amazing, and what it's going to do in 2019 is going to blow our minds. It's the way it starts with a seed, but then it goes all the way out. Ripple effects to so many different possibilities with jobs and the needs of the farmers, the needs of the producers, the needs of the retail shops. It's just amazing.
I tell people there's everybody, from the outside perspective looks at it, everything collectively as, quote, the industry. I try to tell people, there's 4 to 6 industries inside of this industry. If you're going to be a farmer and you want to grow, that needs to be your life. That needs to be what you go to school for. That needs to be what you study. That needs to be what you live. If you're going to want to be an extractor, the grower, he cannot learn everything all at once. So, if you're going to be in an extractor or inside of a production lab, that's its own thing. You need to have your extraction specialist, and then you also need to have your manufacturing processes in order. So you have to have somebody that has experience with mass scale, product development and production.
Formulations.
And then you got to have sales teams, and then you have to have your tax people, because that's one thing that really holds a lot of these companies down is they don't even understand how their taxes work until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that it's a lot of different industries. With us, we have, the entire team together about 4 different degrees in completely different topics.
Yeah.
So, I try to encourage people, reach out to your resources, work with people. One person is not going to be able to figure all this out on his own.
No, it's just too much to do everything. And, even just, one of the most important things is in formulation and in making sure that you're using the right terpenes and the right cannabinoids for a specific purpose. But outside of even that, then you've got to go to who supports the farmer, who supports the manufacturer, so then you're getting out into even more layers, because the nutrients for hemp, it might need to be tweaked a little bit compared to that of what a corn crop or something else, to just like, when you're talking about feeding the chickens hemp feed instead of like a corn or grain feed. You're going to be finding out over the years that certain things are going to work better, and that's going to create another industry. You've got the industry for genetics, for the plants, for the seeds. There's so many ways that you can become involved in the hemp industry, the cannabis industry as a whole.
I run into people out here, now that I'm in Iowa, all over the place that are talking about, I just want to be in the industry. I just want to get involved in the industry. It's nowadays, back in the day, I used to have to, talk people through, maybe a 1 or 2 year plan on how to make that happen, how to get themselves set up to get into that situation to be able to do it. Now it's completely changed. Within a year, it's completely changed. Now my response to people is go do it.
Yeah.
Go move 10 minutes away to Illinois, move 10 minutes away to Missouri, stay in Iowa if you want to, start growing hemp. Within a year, you'll have some product to extract and make your own products, or even sell to other people making oil. It's that easy now. It's not a far-fetched dream for people anymore. It's something that's very attainable. In a matter of a week, anybody can go get, without a felony, anybody can go get a medical badge and start working in the cannabis industry that has recreational use, of course, in their states. But even the ones that don't have recreational use, you can still work at these medical places, and all it requires is a background check, just like any other decent, corporate job. And you work it just like you'd be a delivery driver. You can be a delivery driver for cannabis, just like, you'd be a cook. You could be a cook and do research and development inside of laboratories for people. All these positions are open. Everybody needs them. And it's just getting people to go do it. Stop thinking it's a dream and get out there and do it.
And a lot of times, you do it while you're doing something else. If you're, like you said, if you're a cook, start creating some edibles on your own. Figure out what the recipe is going to be. Make a bunch of batches.
People in the industry would love that experience. If you were to go to, a company, like Incredibles, that's already making things, and you go tell them, I've been a cook, or I've worked in a kitchen and production or a line cook for 10, 15 years. That's more than enough right there to get your foot into the door. A lot of people think that it's really complicated. It's a big big headache. It's not, it's a normal job, works just the same as everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And all your work history now, you can use towards that. It's
Exactly.
no different.
You're not starting from scratch. Just
No.
if you're doing something you already love and you want to move it into the industry, then just, like Harley said, just do it. Just you literally just do it. I know it sounds difficult, but I think you'd find that it's a lot easier than you think it is. But
It took me. I was even out in Colorado, and something that worried me, and I was all worried about. What about this in my past? What about that in my past?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. You're a human being. This is an industry. There's jobs that need filled, and it's just normal life in most places. And I see it being that way everywhere here very soon.
Yeah, exactly. What would you say is your most favorite product? Not one of your own, not one of your Homegrown Essentials, but what is your most favorite product from 2018?
Let's see. So hemp-wise, with the hemp product,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a new one. Well, I think it came out 2 years ago, but I've really been on it this year. It's called Hemp 2.0. It's just a Gatorade, but it's a hemp seed infused water beverage that's actually sold all along the West Coast in 7-Elevens now.
Nice. That's great. What about cannabis side?
Cannabis side, in my opinion, there really hasn't been too many new products or new extracts or strains or anything really come out in the last couple of years. But like as far as accessories and things go, I'm really big on the vape market. So I got a new pen. It's called a Puffco, Puffco. But like I said, everybody's chasing consistency out here, and it's a pen that I finally like.
Does it have different
use.
temperature controls and such?
Yep. So it has 3 different temperature controls. It's all ceramic dish on the inside. It's got a dab setting too. So just like most normal vape pens, you load your little chamber, you hold your button, and you take your hit. This one you can hit the button twice, and it'll go through about like a 30, 45 second cycle, where it's the most comparable to doing like an actual dab out of a bong or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That I crossed.
I think my favorite is something I had earlier in the year from Restorative Botanicals, because I am definitely a person who likes sweets. And so my favorite thing is still from Restorative Botanicals, and it's their Boulder caramels. And each one has 10 milligrams of CBD in it. Oh my God, people. It is so good. The problem,
Caramels are good right there.
yeah, Pamela Orth, man, you got some good stuff over there. My problem with the Boulder caramels is that they come in a 5-pack, and I eat all 5 pieces at once. So if I could limit myself to eating one of them at a time, that would be great. But they taste so good, and what an easy way to get CBD into my system. There've been a lot of great products that I've tried this year. A lot of great topicals, vapes.
Edibles are getting really good now. Now that these extraction companies are able to pretty much remove all the flavonoids. So like you don't even really get the earthy taste or the plant taste of the hemp in the final products anymore.
But you're still getting, it's not like they're using an isolate either in a lot of these. I mean, it's
exactly.
Yeah, it's a full spectrum. So you're getting the great benefits of all the cannabinoids. You're just not getting the grassy, dirty taste.
Yeah, that's brought us a long ways too, especially making vape cartridges and things of those sort. Like I said, products more consistent. Everything just seems to work better in the cartridges, because now you don't have just random chunks of plant material, and We're coming a long way. Another thing I want next year is hopefully there's some compliance regulations made for this industry. I know there's a few people that are, really doing their due diligence and setting up facilities and making them clean. But there's other steps that people can still take. Like I said, most of us in this industry aren't, real business people, and it's just people wanting to grow their dream. But you have to be educated on everything around you when you're working here. So the one thing that we're doing with Homegrown that we're hoping, to really kind of start setting a standard is having GMP compliant facilities. For those people that don't know, GMP stands for good manufacturing processes. So like your big corporations, your people that, make mass-produced foods or make mass-produced home goods or even like laundry detergent or bleach or anything that could be possibly harmful to a kid or a human or animal of any kind, they can get GMP certified. So what that is it's just a government organization that goes in and inspects your facility, and it not just your facility. That's what pretty much FDA and stuff is, but they really go through your processes for mass production with a fine-tooth comb. So we're working on getting into a GMP compliant facility build out now, which will allow us to really start to get into the international market and start working on making hemp an export for the United States. As anybody in this industry knows, the last 5 years, there's been a huge spike in the hemp industry. But in those 5 years, it's declined greatly on goods bought from the United States. All the seeds are imported. Most of the material that's being extracted are oils or seed oils or anything, hemp oils in general. 90% have been imported, but that's been due to the laws. So I really think that's going to start opening up next year. And if we can start getting people with, GMP compliant facilities that meet the standards of the European GMP compliance, then it'll just be able to really open it up as an export for the United States.
I totally agree. I really think that other countries would look at our product very favorably, very, very favorably, and would want to be able to get American hemp products. So that
if we don't get companies jumping on that, it's going to be the downfall for hemp in the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we have amazing farmers. We have amazing land, great land here to grow things in, and I think that the signing of the Farm Bill is a great first step, especially with them being able to get insurance on it now, like they can with other crops. That's just wonderful. And truly, with everything that was happening with the soybean industry, where China didn't, as of the end of the year, they're not buying any soybeans from us now, and that's one of our biggest exports. Now they're buying it from South America and other countries. It's a perfect time for farmers to jump in and try something new, make some money. So.
Yep, and that's where a lot of this attention is coming from out here in Iowa. I got some family members that I won't say they lost money this year, but they definitely dropped, $20,000-$50,000 less than what they made last year, even though they grew more. So it is becoming a problem, but I think that we're here to fix it.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. You've got a wide open spot for some amazing farmers to do their thing. All right, well, you have a fabulous day with your family out there. Looking forward to getting you back to Colorado, and then I'm sure we'll get some episodes with you going so everyone can hear your voice.
There's going to be a lot going on this year, so I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more episodes, and I think you guys have all really finally talked me into starting to do these strain and product reviews while I'm out there in Colorado.
Finally! Oh my God! It's only been like years since we were trying to get you to do that, but yay!
Yep, I think I'm ready to do that for this year. So you'll definitely be hearing a lot more from both of us.
Fabulous. All right, sweetie, you have a great time and look forward to seeing you soon. We've got some steaks up here ready to put on the grill when you get back. And then, so everyone, thanks for joining us in this episode. Happy New Year. And stay happy, stay healthy. Anything you got there, Harley?
Nope, just everybody have a safe New Year's and look forward to see what happens in 2019.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.